The Lynx are saying goodbye to the season, what some are hoping to see next year, plus how one player says she'll be spending the offseason. A Minnesota Frost player is keeping busy this offseason, how she'll be giving back to the community. The Gopher women's volleyball team has their eye on being a top 16 seed, what their head coach had to say as they prepare to face Ohio State. And later, a high school soccer team is using a new tool that helps with their success. I visited the school to learn more about it. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marielle Mohs. Here at WCCO, we are celebrating the highlights of female athletes in this new digital segment called Women in Sports. We'll share new stories with you every week right here as we do our part to give these athletes the recognition they deserve. Let's begin with the Lynx, who just finished an incredible season. Unfortunately, in heartbreak, in Game 5 of the WNBA Championship, they lost in overtime, 67-62 against the New York Liberty. The team has already begun moving on from the season, focusing on rest and recovery, and looking forward to next season. They held their end-of-year press conference this week, and one thing that was reiterated in the playoffs was this is Napheesa Collier's team. She's the engine, and she hopes the majority of the pieces stay in place for next season.
So making sure that stays, we see what happens when you have a team that's as close as that. So making sure that we closely that for next year.
Another fan favorite this season was the gritty Courtney Williams. She won the hearts of many, and now she starts her off season with a plan in place.
Other than that, honestly, what I'm doing during my off season, I got a bike, so I'll be riding my bike. I got a house, so I finally get to decorate it. It's just empty rooms right now. And hanging out with my dog. So this is gonna be like my first off season that I could really just sit down and kind of do what I want.
Fans are still buzzing from the exciting season that the Lynx had. In fact, the exclusive women's sports spot, a bar of their own, is hosting a celebration. According to a recent Instagram post, the eatery is hosting a party for the 2024 team on Saturday from 3 to 6 p.m. They plan to have crafts, photo props, and you could even get a chance to be part of a thank you video for the team. The WNBA playoffs have been inspiring a new generation of players across the country. One coach says she's already noticing a difference as some girls are daring to dream big about the future of girls' sports.
That's probably my number one dream, and if I didn't make that, like maybe a coach or like a helper on the team would be nice. It's not all women like that are supporting us, it's also a lot of men too, like they're like cheering on for us.
It's great that people are catching up now. It's a craze. There's so much more opportunity for young women to get jobs, different deals, NIL, scholarships, playing professionally.
Another Minnesota women's sports team is still a month away from their season starting, but one star player is using the offseason to do some good for the community. PWHL star Minnesota native Taylor Heisey is partnering with Honey Bear Brands this year. They're going to donate 600 pounds of pizzazz apples to Second Harvest Heartland each time she makes an assist this season. You may wonder, why apples? Well, in hockey, an assist is referred to as an apple. The 2024-25 PWHL season kicks off November 30th with a doubleheader. This is an image of the part of the schedule from the PWHL Instagram page. First, the Boston Fleet will take on the Toronto Scepters, followed by the Montreal Victor and the Ottawa Charge. The Minnesota Frost kick off their season on December 1st against the New York Sirens. The Gopher women's volleyball team is coming off a sweep of Northwestern and heading to Columbus to take on Ohio State on Sunday. The Gophers' Julia Hansen had a monster night, hitting over 500 on 34 swings.
And Julia is really good at being challenged and meeting challenges. And when you give her a vision and kind of get out of her way and let her get to work, it usually comes to fruition.
She was just named to the National Player of the Year watch list, one of 52 players across the country who could be crowned at the end of the year. Minnesota will have to contend with a feisty Ohio State team that pushes their opponents to the limits.
I mean, that's got to be the best 1-9 conference team in the country, right? Emily Londot is what she is, right? And yeah, they're impressive. And so the last match I've watched them play in their venue, was Penn State, and you wouldn't be able to tell, that they have the struggles that they've had. So kind of expecting a battle from them.
And the Gophers can't afford to drop this one, as if they want that top 16 seed to host the first few rounds of the NCAA tournament. Good luck to them. As for high school volleyball, the season has reached the postseason, and Ren Clayton has more from the state's top player from Champlin Park and her team's mission to break a long streak.
The last and only time Champlin Park volleyball won state was in 2018, when Carly Gilk was in 6th grade.
That whole year, we went to almost all their games, and we knew they were going to win state that year. So me and Reese went to the state game together, and we were right when they won, we hugged each other. It was so exciting, and I just knew from that moment I wanted the chance to win a state championship and be like that.
The program has not been back to the tournament since, not because they've fallen off, but because Section Foe Wayzata has been a dynasty, winning 4 straight championships.
Wayzata had a great run. I mean, that was a super special group that we may never see again come together. But in our heads, we're we didn't make it to state, so that was kind of you end the season on a loss and not making it to state, which is your goal. So you kind of feel like it's a little bit of a letdown.
This year, with the mainstays of that Trojans group graduated, things may be lining up for Champlin Park. Gilk is a senior and the top player in the state, committed to play for the Gophers. She's surrounded by a bunch of talent.
We always watch the 2018 highlight video. We just watched it last week. I don't know, it kind of gets us all inspired and excited, and just pushes us through practices. Sometimes practices are hard, but when we think of that video, we want to have the joy and experiences that those girls did in 2018.
Those internal expectations can create pressure that's tangible to the team.
I would say a little bit, but honestly, everyone does such a good job of just keeping each other engaged, and just relating back to volleyball is supposed to be a fun sport. We're doing it because we love the sport and we love the game, and I think that kind of helps eliminate some of the pressure, just playing the sport you love with the girls that you love.
In Champlin, Ren Clayton, WCCO Sports.
And the state girls soccer tournament started this week, and the Academy of Holy Angels already punched their ticket to play at US Bank next week, beating Byron 5-0 in the Class 2A state quarterfinals. Now they're going to be heading to the semifinals to take on the number 5 seed Orono on Tuesday. The team hungry for their 3rd state title in program history. They're ranked 1st in Class 2A and have lost only 1 in 19 regular season games. I visited them to learn more about a new tool that is in their arsenal that's helped them with their success.
I really just want to end my senior year on a high note, go back to US Bank.
One thing in their favor heading into the tournaments is the entire team is healthy. A simple jump each week tells the Holy Angels soccer head coach Dave Marshak a lot.
It's really easy using the data to spot when somebody's fatigued or something's not quite going right.
Data from each jump is sent directly to Evan Struhler at Edina-based performance center, Human Powered Health.
How much force are they able to produce, but how well are they able to absorb that force when they land?
With that, Evan can advise coach how much workload each athlete can handle that week.
Kind of a green, yellow, red philosophy, right? Green is they're all good, yellow is let's monitor them, red is let's monitor / make some significant adjustments or more rest is needed.
It's something that helped senior Ella Smith recognize the power of rest and recovery.
I will admit, earlier this year, I was a little bit injured and I didn't want to tell my coaches. Then I did the jump and it did show that I was hurt, so I had to take a break, but that was okay because now I'm ready to go for state.
Senior Eileen Braun says because more teammates were monitoring their health individually, they could better balance out the strength of the team as a whole.
If they are feeling sore, the data will tell us that, and then they don't play, and that's fine because we can take those breaks and then they can recover and come back for the games that we really need them for.
It's been invaluable to have this information. It's been eye-opening for the kids to learn about themselves.
While this team is dialed in to win a championship, this data testing hasn't been all business.
Being together, the jumps obviously is a team bonding experience in its own.
We also want to take a moment to congratulate 2 players who were selected to the first team All-State. As posted on the Academy of Holy Angels soccer Facebook page, for junior Addie Judson, this is her 2nd consecutive first team selection and 3rd straight year on the All-State team. Addie has already committed to Ole Miss. And senior Madigan Vixavon also earned her first team All-State recognition. She will be playing at the University of Nebraska next year. Congrats, ladies. On the professional level, more than 100 women's soccer players have signed an open letter to FIFA. They're urging the governing body to end its sponsorship deal with Saudi Arabian state oil giant Aramco. Among the players who signed the letter is former U.S. national team captain Becky Sauerbrunn. Earlier this year, FIFA announced a 4-year global partnership with the oil giant, giving it sponsorship rights to the 2026 Men's World Cup and the 2027 Women's World Cup. The letter called the deal a, quote, stomach punch for the women's game, citing Saudi Arabia's human rights record. One big part of sports is health, but it's not easy to stay healthy for many. Across the country, government and health leaders have been declaring racism a public health crisis. Tennis great Serena Williams also brought to the spotlight the complications and challenges many new mothers of color face. This week, Aaron Hassanzadeh and Jeff Wagner spoke with the chief officer at Blue Cross Blue Shield about these experiences.
What does health inequity mean?
Yeah, it basically, in the simplest terms, it means that there's a barrier to access or opportunity for folks to live their healthiest life. And that barrier could be, for instance, where you live at, depending on rural versus urban. It could be for other things too, such as race, ethnicity, sexual orientation, gender identity. So a host of things that present a barrier to you achieving your healthiest life. So that's what it is in its simplest term.
One issue in particular has been put out in the spotlight, the gap in outcomes for Black people giving birth, getting more attention since Serena Williams started speaking about her own experience. What are Black Minnesotans telling you about their experience in this situation?
Yeah, so we recently had a newsmaker poll that we do, and through that we talked to Black folks, Black birthers, going through the process, and half of them said that they did experience some sort of bias or discrimination going through that process, and it impacted their care. And so that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on, is sort of engaging in community. We believe community has the answers. So how do you talk to folks to get insights that help you move in a different direction? Based off of that, we've done things such as implement doula care as a covered benefit. We've also launched other efforts to address the incidents that folks may encounter.
We have about 30 seconds left. Maybe we can leave people with some practical advice. If they're a person of color, maybe trying to advocate for themselves in the healthcare system, do you have some advice?
Yeah, absolutely. One, become more health literate, research, advocate for yourself in that space. But I think the other piece is what we're trying to do, and that is there's systemic barriers there. And how do we sort of partner to remove some of those systemic barriers that folks encounter as they would engage with healthcare? So those are the things that I would say. Health literacy, advocate for yourself, and then sort of encourage organizations to be a part of the solution too.
And you can learn more about Blue Cross Blue Shield's health equity work at centerforrhe.com. Thanks for watching this week's Women in Sports. We'll be back with more great stories next week. I'm Marielle Mohs.